once, my ass.
I'm only 4. Bonjour, Monsieur Pussycat.
Cracking toast, Robert.
Start spreading the news.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 2 of the short podcast about short films. I am your host, and we are discussing the Academy Award for Best Animated Short. Today's episode is about the 9th year of the award at the 13th Academy Awards, which celebrates the films of 1940. Today's guest is one we've had on before. We last heard them talking about The Tortoise and the Hare at the 1934 Academy Awards. Please welcome back Eoin Daly. Hello, Eoin.
Hi. Thank you for having me back. I'm excited to kick off season 2 for your podcast, which has been for me a very great podcast to sort of follow along to. It makes me fill out all the blind spots that I have in the animated short category.
Yeah, it's been really nice to see you actually watching all the shorts as the episode's been releasing. That's part of why I've been making this, to introduce them to people.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. So I guess that pretty much summarizes your familiarity. You've just been watching these shorts as the episode's been coming out.
Yeah, no, I think I think your next episode, at least when we're recording this, is the last of the series with the Ugly Duckling year. So I haven't watched those shorts yet, but I'm sure I'll get onto it before the new episode releases this week.
Oh yeah, we kind of timed this really interestingly. You're watching 1940 right before you're about to watch 1939. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. But now let's get into the shorts. This year has 3 nominees, and it'll be 10 years before there is another year with just 3 shorts. And before we get into the first short and the year's winner, Eoin, we are celebrating today. Can you guess why?
I don't know.
It's because we finally have a winner that isn't Walt Disney. And not only that, he's not even nominated. After getting 8 wins and 15 nominations in just 8 years of the category, Walt Disney has finally been ousted as the champion. And spoilers, but he will be returning yet next year. But we shall be celebrating while we can. Anyway, our first nominee and the year's winner is The Milky Way, directed by Rudolph Ising. This is the first nomination and first win for Fred Quimby, as well as the second nomination and first win for MGM after last year's Peace on Earth. MGM did distribute earlier nominees. They were produced by Harmon Ising, and while this and Peace on Earth were wholly by MGM, even with Hugh Harmon directing Peace on Earth and Rudolph Ising directing The Milky Way, although Ising is also credited as a producer in some sources and even sometimes credited as a co-winner for this short with Fred Quimby. It's a mess, and you can hear more about it in the In-Between Seasons bonus episode released last week, but I digress. The Milky Way is about 3 little kittens who have lost their mittens. As punishment, they are sent to bed without any milk. And as they are in their room longing for that sweet taste of lactose, they gaze up at the stars and see the glorious Milky Way and imagine themselves floating up to it and drinking all the milk contained within its majesty, and passing by many planets and constellations on the way, each one with an imaginative, childlike spin. Eoin, I've talked long enough. What did you think of this short?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't with these shorts, I didn't really know what to expect going into them. And when I heard The Milky Way, obviously there's so many ways it could go. I mean, it's a part of space. So I guess it being actual milk was not something that I necessarily would be the first thought that comes to mind. But I mean, it was a good short. It was very much for the fans of who love animation with very cute characters. It's almost a bit too much cuteness for a very much cuteness overload at the very beginning. Like, even the way the kittens speak it's just very childlike and almost, I guess, anthropomorphized version of childlike behavior from these kittens. I guess a thing that I don't relate to about this film is the pleasure of drinking milk. I don't know if there's many people that, other than maybe kittens, that would enjoy the thought of drinking milk. So that was definitely an experience. But no, it was good. It was very cute.
Yeah, in my mind, I get this short often confused with a previous winner, a Three Orphan Kittens, where it's just three little kittens roaming around a house and doing cute things. And, and because they're both pretty similar, they're just about three kittens being cute. Although that one is just normal kittens. This one is more, like you said, anthropomorphized human-ish children.
Mhm.
And also, as this is MGM, they do kind of look like Jerry Mouse, which is a bit interesting to me, as I thought. And you brought up the milk, and there's a lot of scenes with milk. Like a big portion of the short is them like in the Milky Way, drinking all the milk. And when you see a lot of white liquid splashing around everywhere, it does not bring good images to mind. Like it, maybe it's a little messed up to say that since these are meant to be like children, but it's just like there's a lot of milk everywhere. It is distracting.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I mean, it's very interesting the amount of types of, I guess, dairy products they were able to mine for this Milky Way. I mean, you have obviously the milk itself, the dried milk. I can't remember what the full name of it is, but like that sort of version of milk, and then the milk from the sort of blue um blue bottle from
Yeah,
above. I can't remember
milk
what the
of
name of it.
magnesia.
Milk of magnesia. So they really were going for the milk puns for
Yeah,
sure.
there's a lot of milk in this short. Uh,
Yeah.
but like, so like the first, so what I actually really liked about this short though was like it really just kind of dives into that kind of childlike imagination. It really does bring that whole thing to life, which is a somewhat common theme that you'll see down the line with shorts like Moonbird, which is we'll talk about much later. That's 1959, but like there's a lot of shorts that deal with like uh picturing the imaginations of children and stuff. And so like seeing like on their journey up, like as they travel in this like a basket with balloons tied to it, you see like the moon is made of cheese and Mars is just like a big, like is a bunch of like rockets or whatever. Or it's just like it almost feels kind of like a Georges Méliès short, or like the silent film guy who made like Trip to the Moon and stuff, where it's just like these very imaginative and like it's it's definitely not supposed to be realistic. Obviously, it's like people definitely understood that at the time. It's just meant to be this kind of fantastical journey through this imagined version of space. I was kind of captivated by that. Uh, but then again, a lot of the short is also just cats playing with milk, and it's just like, okay, that's just what this short is. And so it's just like it's a kind of mixed bag for me. But overall, I think I liked it. I think it was a good short, and I liked the ending. How like the mom is finally like, okay, you can have your dinner, and then it's just like a table full of milk. And it's just the kids like pass out because they're so tired of milk.
Yeah, I did find it funny how I guess the Mars planet, while it was sort of these rockets exploding, the top of it reminded me very much of Marvin the Martian. His helmet. So like there was almost the shape of his helmet atop the planet. So that, I mean, there it's an MGM product as well, I believe.
Oh yeah, Marvin
Um,
the Martian was Warner Brothers Looney Tunes too.
oh, sorry. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure when Marvin the Martian was introduced, but that's sort of interesting that I guess them mentioning Mars and the Martian card, like the fact that that was introduced. I don't know what the connection is. Is there a connection? Maybe it's just something that I relate to because I'm familiar with the Marvin character and for that animation bit. But yeah, no, it's it's sort of like I mean, you're very much taken aboard the ride of this sort of childlike exploration of um the Milky Way, and then you're just sort of the film kind of reaches a point and where it just is like, oh, that was all a dream. I think maybe that could have been a bit done a bit better. Um, I mean, the last note of them not wanting to actually have the milk was very funny. It was a very nice note to end on, but I think, like, obviously it's a short, you're not going to have much time to connect everything, but I think a connection between we're about to die falling from the Milky Way to just straight, oh no, they were just imagining this whole thing there. I mean, they even have the balloons in their room as well. So I think I think maybe like even another second of a connection would have made the thing that much more enjoyable for me.
Yeah, now that I think about it, this is just kind of like a lot of other shorts that are this category. Like it's also very similar to like Holiday Land and the Calico Dragon and stuff like that, where it's like just showing like all these things in these kids' rooms have come to life or is infected their imagination or whatever. Or as just like yeah, this is just a very common kind of short idea as just like and we'll get to like the other nominees, but it's like I kind of failed to see like out of the three shorts why this is the one that won. Like what is it that really stood out? Like maybe it's just my not to spoil too much, but the other two are a lot more have stood the test of time more than this one. And so it's just like what was it about like being in 1940, being a member of the Academy too, just like seeing this short and just being like, you know what, that's the one I want to vote for instead of these other two.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was the singing.
The
I was
song
gonna
is
say
nice.
maybe, yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's the music, but they all have music in them because obviously they're animated shorts. But maybe it was the opening song with even I chuckled a bit at the line, what they did next, we don't know because it wasn't written in the original tale. I can't remember the name of the author they referenced, but that was quite a funny thing to just uh, out of the blue mention. But I mean, we'll obviously talk about the other two shorts and how, yes, they have very much stood the test of time much more. And you don't see many of their shorts about these three kittens as you do about the other characters featured in the other nominees.
Yeah, it is truly it's truly a mystery. Although I think this is a good place to move on to one of these other shorts. So our second nominee is Puss Gets the Boot, directed by Rudolph Ising, as well as William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, who were uncredited. This is the second nomination for Fred Quimby and the third for MGM. This single short could be considered one of the most important in animation history. Not within the short itself. Nothing within the short itself is all that revolutionary, just some standard cat chasing mouse fare. We've seen that before. But your ears might have perked up when I said the names William Hanna and Joseph Barbera earlier. That's right. This is the debut film of the collaboration Hanna-Barbera, a partnership that would go on to help create such iconic characters like the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, the Jetsons, Yogi Bear, Top Cat, Wacky Races, etc., etc. But perhaps their most famous characters would be the two that make their debut in this very short. That's right, it's the classic cat and mouse duo, Jasper and Jinx. Well, that was their names here, though they would later be called Tom and Jerry. Not only are Tom and Jerry some of the most well-known cartoon characters in the history of animation, but they are the most nominated characters in the history of the Best Animated Short category, and will go on to receive 7 wins across 13 nominations. This is truly an important moment. So, back to the short itself. Puss Gets the Boot is about Jasper the cat, who is trying to eat Jinx the mouse. Things start out normal enough, but after some things get broken, Jasper's owner tells him that if one more thing breaks, he's going to be kicked out. So Jinx uses this to his advantage and forces Jasper to try to stop him from breaking things. And I'm going to let you start us off with your thoughts again, since I've been talking so much. What did you think of Puss Gets the Boot?
Yeah, I mean, it was great, I guess, honor to be asked to discuss the debut of such sort of very iconic characters. Even up until I think it was last year, there was a another version of the Tom and Jerry story in a feature film length. I mean, it's what you would come to expect from a Tom and Jerry short. Well, sorry, Jasper and Jinx short, I guess, where where you just have this cat, I guess, very much a cat and mouse game. the cat trying to chase the mouse, both of them trying to outwit each other, it ending, spoiler alert, I guess, with the cat losing, which tended to be the case for most of the Tom and Jerry Jasper and Jinx adventures. It was very fun. It was I have to say, I really would have loved to hear them speak. And I must say it was slightly off-putting is probably the wrong word to use, but odd to see how different the animation was for these characters that I know so well from their later iterations.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a lot of fun with this, definitely.
Yeah, it is kind of Jerry. Like Jerry is kind of very well defined. Like his design doesn't change much from this appearance to any of his numerous appearances down the line. But Tom has changed a lot. He looks a lot more like a realistic cat here. Meanwhile, and he becomes a lot more cartoony. He has a lot of different styles down the line. And it's interesting that you said that you wanted to hear them talk, because they're kind of famously don't talk much. Like they do have a occasional line when it like would punctuate a joke or something, but very rarely do they like actually like talk. And so like they do make noises and stuff here. Like I think we do hear like a Tom yell, if I remember correctly, though maybe I'm just confusing with some of the other Tom and Jerry shorts I've had to watch when recording this season, which they come up a lot.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it could very much be for me that I think my Tom and Jerry recognizable things are more so with, I guess, the later, like I have watched the 90s movies a lot of times when I was younger. And I think they much more talk in that one. So maybe that's less so. Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, maybe the less so speaking, but more, I guess, more clear animate. Like they were like, I definitely agree. Tom was less animated. Well, other than I guess his tail, which sort of had a life of its own. I don't know of any real cats that can operate their tail to almost act like a tentacle, which was the case for a couple of scenes in this short. But yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just getting confused between the shorts, which I haven't watched a lot of, as opposed to the 90s version, and then even in like, I don't know, was there a TV series of Tom and Jerry? Maybe. I think I've watched. Maybe I could be wrong. I need to research this.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Tom and Jerry post like the original theatrical shorts from the 40s and 50s, but I do know there's been a bunch of movies, especially like recently. Like there's been a lot of like made for TV movies that do like they basically adapt like public domain works and just shove Tom and Jerry in the middle of them. Like I even watched one of them. It was Tom and Jerry Meet Willy Wonka or something like that, and it was just some of the worst animation I've ever seen. It's just like, it's hilariously awful. I don't know. Let's get back to the good stuff here. So yeah, in this short, this is very clearly like just the starting point for Tom and Jerry. Like this is just a very standard cat and mouse short. Like you would not be able to tell that these characters go on to such great heights later on, become such important characters in animation, like, because this really is just kind of a standard cat and mouse short. But for a standard cat and mouse short, I thought it was all right. It's got some pretty funny moments. It's got some good gags. It's definitely not like some like generic bottom of the barrel kind of thing. It's solid, but it's also just a generic cat and mouse short too.
Yeah, no, there definitely was moments where I could see what would become of these characters. I especially in towards the end of the short, when Jasper is holding all of the valuables from atop the shelf, all in this big large collection, and him just like breathing in and out. Definitely I could see the familiar type of character design that is very familiar with me. So there definitely were moments where it broke from the, I guess, more realistic version of Tom and Jerry, and I could see a lot of similarities that I'm used to. So it's definitely the blueprint, but you can definitely see where it would go on to.
Yeah, there's definitely hints of what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
A
Go ahead.
question I have is what do you think the actual human's role in this house was? That is something that, I mean, I have a guess that it's probably the maid of the house.
Yeah. So let's just address. So one of the more, I'd say, the more poorly aged aspects of the Tom and Jerry shorts, and this is something that comes up semi frequently, is that there is a black woman who appears to be like the owner or perhaps just a caretaker of the home that Tom and Jerry live in, and is very clearly just meant to be like a mammy stereotype. And oftentimes later down, like when they aired the shorts on like Cartoon Network or whatever, or they will either like edit the character so she's white and doesn't have that stereotypical accent that they do at this time, or they'll just cut out the character altogether if they can. And it's just like, because this is just an unfortunate, awful part of. Unfortunately, a lot of shorts at this time feature all these kinds of caricatures. It's awful. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've in a previous episode, obviously, when we spoke of Jolly Little Elves, that had a lot of poorly aged characterizations. So it's definitely not the first time.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it was a very short appearance in this short. But it did sort of pull me out of it with, oh no.
Yeah.
Which is my reaction for a lot of films / shorts / whatever media from this time is, oh, I'm really enjoying this, and then I have to remember that it's a different time.
Yeah, it's just like it. It's unfortunate how often I have to like stop the podcast and just be like, hey, this short also has racism, so if you're thinking of watching it, please just put that in mind. There is some racist elements in these shorts. Yeah, it's just what happens when you watch things from this time period, because that is what passed for comedy a lot of times back then. It's just like, if you're a racist, that was an easy laugh to get from your audience, and so mainly white people,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or at least that was the target audience.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Any other thoughts, or would you like to move on to our final short?
I mean, I guess to relate this short to the next short is iconic character, but also a characterization in a different way that I was not necessarily expecting.
All right. That's a good lead into our third and final nominee, which is A Wild Hare, directed by Tex Avery. This is the third nomination for Leon Schlesinger and Warner Brothers' Merry Melody series. And remember how I said the last short was one of the most important shorts in animation history? Well, this one is too. This short is the debut of Bugs Bunny, who would become an icon for the Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes series, and just for Warner Brothers as a whole, maybe even just as an icon for the art of animation. I don't need to tell you at home about how iconic Bugs Bunny is, and it's kind of funny. Like, just recently, there was a fighting game release, Multiverses, with both Bugs Bunny and Tom and Jerry as playable characters. And here we are talking about their debut films. That is how iconic and important these characters are, that after 82 years, they are still relevant enough to be put in a Smash Brothers ripoff game that also features Steven Universe, Rick and Morty, and LeBron James. And I should clarify that Bugs Bunny isn't the first Merry Melodies Looney Tunes character, nor is he the first popular one. That would be Porky Pig. This short and this nomination is the beginning of what would be the lasting legacy of these Warner Brothers shorts. I would say it is because of Bugs Bunny and his immense popularity becoming Warner Brothers' most popular character that the series is what it was then and is today. And it's because of Bugs that we will see not just him, but Tweety Bird, Sylvester the Cat, Pepe Le Pew, and Speedy Gonzales all go on to win Oscars. But back to today's short. A Wild Hare features dim-witted hunter Elmer Fudd set out to catch a rabbit. He then happens upon Bugs Bunny, who is, as Fudd puts it, a screwy rabbit. Bugs then finds a number of humorous ways to outsmart Fudd to keep himself from being killed. Owen, what did you think of our final short?
It was really great to experience the first sort of break. Well, I guess not the first appearance. I'm aware that Bugs Bunny was in a Porky Pig short 2 years prior, but like the first sort of main, this is about Bugs Bunny. So it was really fun to experience that and just like delve into those familiar way, like the way Bugs Bunny is. It's much clearer from the beginning here than say the Tom and Jerry short, where this is the Bugs Bunny that would go on to be. And especially his relationship with Elmer Fudd, which is a very important relationship in the world of animation. They're like, whether it's just these two characters or obviously at a later point when Daffy Duck was introduced. So it was a really fun short to experience, and I can only I guess look forward to future shorts featuring Bugs Bunny that other guests will get to discuss.
I wouldn't be looking too forward for that, because I think Bugs Bunny only gets like 3 nominations in his tenure, but yes, but this is like the big debut for Bugs Bunny, and it's just like, it is kind of amazing how kind of fully formed he already is. Like he like with Tom and Jerry, like they kind of just started out as generic cat and mouse, and then eventually evolved into the characters we know and love. But here it's just like, this is pretty much just Bugs Bunny as we know him. And like, he does go through a few like evolutions depending on like who's directing him and whatever. But this is Bugs Bunny. And also, it's kind of funny how there's this kind of urban legend about how when people saw this short in 1940, how they just kind of went wild when they first saw Bugs Bunny, because they had no idea to expect a rabbit to act like that. And I usually think that that's just like a kind of urban legend, where it's just like kind of similar to how people were running through the door when they saw the train pull into the station, and that one very old film. It's like, because that's just how new motion pictures were, that they thought the train was coming right at them, but that's not really how things happened. And I think and I used to think that it might be the same way here, how it's just like, they had decades of cartoon shorts already, like they've seen slapstick humor, they've seen characters before. It's like, this isn't really anything new. But then rewatching it for this, I'm just like, that is a really crazy rabbit. Like, he's kind of wild. I kind of understand, like, seeing this for the first time in 1940, like, you would just be dying in your seat, because like, even knowing the history of Bugs Bunny, even knowing all the shorts that he has done after this one still really holds up. This one is still a really solid Bugs Bunny short. It is hilarious through and through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's like he's very clear from the beginning, and I even love the detail when Elmer Fudd is going through actresses at the time, that they mention Carole Lombard, and I just sort of had this moment of, is Bugs Bunny Carole Lombard? Like, it's like, I think of her in her screwball comedies, and like something like My Man Godfrey, where she was just like so uninhibited and like really went wild, and that sort of energy is very reminiscent in this short with Bugs Bunny. So I now want to imagine a world where Carole Lombard dresses up as Bugs Bunny. I mean, it's also sort of funny also because a lot of people think that Bugs Bunny is related to Clark Gable, which obviously has the Carole Lombard connection. So it's all sort of, that's just where my mind went when watching this film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. He also mentions Barbara Stanwyck, who would also go on to be a big kind of screwball comedy actress. And it's just
Yeah.
like I like how Elmer Fudd's just naming a bunch of actresses like Hedy Lamarr and stuff, and that. But when he says Olivia de Havilland, that's when Bugs is like getting warmer, and it's just like, what? Why is Olivia de Havilland closer?
I mean, maybe something to do with Midsummer's Night Dream or something like that. Is there a bunny in A Midsummer's Night Dream? Maybe I'm wrong.
Because
Um,
Bugs Bunny is gone with the wind. I don't know. Maybe Bugs Bunny is a Scarlett O'Hara type, and Clark
yes,
Gable's
Bugs
there
Bunny is
too.
yeah, exactly.
Uh,
But it's like the ways the like innovative ways that Bugs Bunny outsmarts Elmer Fudd is really fun to watch from this very beginning. Like I do sort of have a question. When he goes to shoot him, he moves because he sees the birds. What was your reading on that? I did get slightly confused by that.
I was thinking like he saw the birds above him as it's like, oh, he doesn't want them to get caught in the crossfire because he thinks Elmer Fudd's gonna miss, so he moves a bit out of the way, so it's just like, oh, just so there's not nobody actually gets hurt.
Right.
But
Yeah, I was sort of unsure whether it was that or that he knew Elmer Fudd would shoot and he'd hear an impact and think like he would accidentally shoot the birds, thinking that he shot Bugs Bunny, which would let him get away.
yeah, I don't know. That was a bit like it was a bit of a weird moment. It was just like I wasn't sure if like that was supposed to be something like funny or like what, or if, like Bugs Bunny was just kind of stalling thing. I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I also found the detail of when he's faking his death that his eyelids match the color of his ear holes. Um, it was
Hmm.
like I slightly was like they're both sort of a pinkish color, and I was like, wait, no, like wouldn't he have just like gray eyelids matching his fur?
I think maybe I'm not sure exactly how rabbit eyelids work, so I am not much of an expert on this topic.
Sorry, I'm just like trying to think of things that
Like
like
something negative to
I
say because this short is so great.
yeah, exactly. So it's so I'm really just nitpicking the animation from 1940s. I mean, couldn't they do so much better?
Yeah.
I kid.
If you want bad animation, wait till you look at some of these other years when they get like next year we have 10 nominees, and it's just like there's certain trash you can pick out of there. No
Yeah,
spoilers.
I mean, my last appearance, I've seen some bad animated shorts, so I
Oh
was
yeah.
very happy that this time there was some good animation to experience.
Yeah, there's no songs about Dunkin' Donuts or anything.
Yeah. But actually, speaking of my last appearance, it's almost interesting that the Bugs Bunny character sort of shares some similarities with the hare from the Tortoise and the Hare series.
Mhm. Oh yeah, it was just like and I think we even mentioned in the episode how like he is kind of reminiscent of Bugs Bunny. He's a very like cocky kind of character. And it is also funny that there is actually a like I think it's called Tortoise Beats Hare with Bugs Bunny and Warner Brothers' own version of their tortoise, and it is a bit of a parody of that Disney short. And it's just like it shows how the tortoise is like cheating or whatever, so he can beat the rabbit. And,
Yeah,
and they even made a sequel to that too. It's just like it's a lot of fun. You got to check that one out.
I'll have to. I have another question for you. How did you react to Bugs Bunny walking around sort of every time he'd outsmart Elmer Fudd, he'd just kiss him on the nose?
Oh, that was very fun. I love how often he just straight up kisses Elmer Fudd. It's just like maybe that's why audiences were so shocked back in 1940. They've never seen a rabbit kiss a man before. How unnatural.
Yeah, I almost want to imagine a world that I'd almost maybe want to queerize Bugs Bunny. Obviously, he's a rabbit and Elmer Fudd's a man, but I sort of was imagining if he wasn't a rabbit and he was just another man outsmarting Elmer Fudd, that they were sort of this unevenly matched couple who would just like try to trick each other. And that's where my mind went.
And Elmer's doing some kind of most dangerous game thing with him. So,
Yeah. Oh.
that reminds me. I probably shouldn't be talking about this since this is later this season, but I just recorded an episode. I think it was 1944 episode, and one of it is a Porky Pig short, and he there's these roosters that are like resembling Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby. They sing very well and make all the hens go crazy. Yeah, it's just like, and Porky asks them like, "What's their secret?" And they both start singing to him, and Porky just gets all fluttery and starts laying a bunch of eggs. It's just like these Looney Tunes shorts have a lot of queer subtext in them. I mean, maybe not even subtext, maybe just overtones. Like it's just
absolutely,
it's a lot.
Yeah, like my favorite of the Bugs Bunny shorts is the What's Up Doc opera from the 70s, like, and that is as queer coded as short as I've ever experienced.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you were saying like Elmer and Bugs in a relationship kind of thing, because like that is a very like heavily like there's a lot of things going on there. It's very interesting. There should be a podcast like that just goes through every single like Looney Tunes or maybe just Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd short and talks about like how these are queer coded. Like maybe I should do that once I run out of best animated short nominees. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure there's many podcasts that I listen to that talk about the queer context of films. I remember myself, I guested on Sam's podcast discussing Grand Illusion and just like the queer readings I had for that movie. Like that's just how I sort of read all these classical movies, because obviously they're enforced into the Hays Code where filmmakers have to be much smarter about how they tell queer narratives. So that's just, again, something that my mind will go to, is always trying to find the queer person, because there always is one somewhere.
Yeah, it is always interesting trying to see. Although I guess like with these animated shorts, I guess because they are being comedic, it's a lot easier to get away with a lot more risque material. Not just because like it's animated, people don't take it seriously, but also because it could be played off as like a joke. They aren't seriously like condoning this behavior or whatever, so they can get through the censors with that.
Yeah. But anyway, since I've made you go on that long tangent, the final conclusion is A Wild Hare for me is a very good short, and I had a great time watching it. I didn't want it to end.
So, well, don't get ahead of me. So it's like now that we've finished all three of our shorts, we are now going to rank them. Now, and you'll start us off with your number 3.
Sorry. Yeah, so my number 3 is this year's winner, the Milky Way.
All right. Want to get into why that's your number 3? Just a little summary.
Yeah, just it was a cute short. It just doesn't stand up in terms of legacy, but also enjoyment factor for me as much as the other two did.
All right. My number 3 is Puss Gets the Boot, which is like, I liked all 3 of these shorts, and Puss Gets the Boot is a good, solid cat and mouse short, but I feel like it doesn't do much to, like, I don't see much of the greatness that'll come to be of Tom and Jerry. I just see a kind of generic cat and mouse short, which is good entertainment, but nothing really too special in my eyes. Your number 2.
My number 2 is Puss Gets the Boot. I guess sort of related to yourself is like the blueprint is there. It's obviously not as great as Tom and Jerry would go on to be. Obviously, they're not named that in this short, but
they're Jasper and Jinx.
Jasper and Jinx. Although I almost would have. I'm trying to imagine a world where it was never Tom and Jerry and it was always Jasper and Jinx, and I sort of want to live in that universe.
Yeah, I'm not sure which name I prefer. Like, part of me is leaning towards Tom and Jerry since, that's the name they have. But it's just like, Jasper and Jinx. I like that alliteration. Like maybe they should have stuck with it,
Yeah, no, definitely. But explaining why I have it as second is it was really fun, and it just sort of had a bit more to it than the Milky Way did, which is why I outranked it. Even though I do, again, similar to yourself, enjoy all three of these shorts.
Yeah. My number 2 is the Milky Way. Hey, I thought there was a lot of like creativity, imagination in this short. I think like the visuals are really interesting. I think I just I don't know. It's a short that's really based around like kind of getting you back to that childlike state of like just having these wild fantasies, and it's just like, it kind of suckered me in. It's like I I put this and Puss Gets the Boot almost on the same level. It's just like they're both very solid, although not the most memorable shorts. Though I think Milky Way just edges out a bit more because I don't know, sentimentality or something. Your
Yeah.
number 1, which I believe is my number 1 as well.
So our number 1 is A Wild Hare.
Yes.
For myself, it just sort of had everything. It has the legacy, it has great animation, it has really defined characters. It was a short in a way that it was so good that I wanted more. And when I tend to watch movies, sort of almost want less because I feel like there's a lot of unnecessary length. But this, I was just like, I just want to watch more of Bugs Bunny and all his adventures. I just never want to stop experiencing his madness and how he outsmarts his very dim-witted but adorable Elmer Fudd. So yeah, it's my number 1 because it's the best.
Yeah, it is simply just a timeless, hilarious short, or it is just as funny as the first day it came out. And it's just like, if you are watching Bugs Bunny shorts and you don't really know where to start, there's no better place to start with his first short here. It is absolutely just pitch perfect. And this is a really good like, we are starting out this decade on a very high note with this lineup here. Or like, even though like 2 of them are good, not great. Hey, but even with just Bugs Bunny in here, like, this is one of the best shorts we'll find this decade. Hey, no spoilers. I keep saying that, even though I'm clearly spoiling how things will turn out. But yeah, before we end our show, though, are there any final thoughts you'd like to share, Owen, or anything you'd like to promote?
I mean, again, thank you for having me on. I'm glad to start the season with the least amount of nominees to category. I'm just looking at the years to come, and
Yeah,
there's a lot of nominees, so I'll have to do a lot more minutes of homework to catch up before the second season starts. But no, it was fun coming on, and I guess in terms of promoting myself, you can always find me on Twitter at my name, Own Daly, just with an I in Daly. I talk about films there. I promote my other guest spots on podcasts because I love appearing on other people's podcasts because it's not as much homework to do, and it's just focusing on film, like a small set of films. And then you can also find my letterbox through there, where I'm still making my way through a lot of classic cinema that I still have not yet to see. And also I have an awards blog that at the moment, I'm sure by the time this podcast come out, the Emmy season will be over, where I'm currently posting my choices for the best television of the year. And in January, February, on the lead up to next year's Oscars, I will be posting my favorite for film in the year. So yeah, that's sort of all the places that I can be found.
You have a lot of places to be found. Wow. All right. Well, thank you, Owen, for coming on to this first episode of season 2. And thank you, listener, for tuning in. And we hope you tune in for the rest of the season to come. This has been the short podcast about short films. Until next time, goodbye.